Good afternoon and welcome to AM News Network presents Summary Judgment. I'm attorney Rachel Baird. Seated next to me is my legal investigator, Ed Peruta. We transmit live from Connecticut, central Connecticut, or at least we try to every Saturday. We talk about current events, we comment on the courts in Connecticut, and anything else that comes to Ed's mind. Did we catch you in the middle of a manicure, Ed?
Such an asshole.
Were you were
An
following
asshole.
your nails?
You're such an asshole.
When we
you
came
know,
on.
You've been bossing me around all morning. What did I do wrong?
We have some really good subjects today. You noticed some things about judicial marshals when we were in court this week, and I know you want to address that, and I made some notes about it as well. And then a case issued on March 22nd from the Supreme Court about the Fourth Amendment. Many of you probably read about it in the news. I have the actual case here, and we'll go over it a little more in depth, where the Supreme Court found, Justice Roberts wrote the majority opinion, that a woman who was shot at 13 times by the police as she was running away from them in her car, two of the bullets hit her in the back. She sued for seizure, unreasonable seizure under the Fourth Amendment. The District Court in New Mexico and then the Circuit Court, 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, both said that wasn't a seizure. She was never in custody. She got away, so that's not a seizure. Well, Justice Roberts, speaking for the majority, which I think Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch dissented from, said that is a seizure when, even if it's an instantaneous seizure at that point, where either hands are laid upon you or something extended from the hands, I should say, a weapon, you are seized at that moment. Now, you get away, you're no longer seized, but for that moment you are seized. So pretty interesting, Ed. We'll talk about that.
Well, no.
Which one did you want to start with?
Well, I need, while we're on that topic, I just need to say something.
So we'll discuss it.
In my head, I envisioned two police officers attempting to arrest a woman in a motor vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
She takes off, whether she's driving at him or away from him or whoever. She's going she's going away, and they say that 13 rounds were fired from the officer's firearms at her. 2 or 3 of the bullets hit her.
2 in the
Two
back.
in the back, and hit her. Now they're saying that is a seizure of the person.
Yes.
Okay? And the minute I heard that case, I go all the way back to the 3rd week of October 1971, when James Edward Carpenter was running away from me, and I lowered my firearm, and trust me, I'm a good shot, and I had a bead right between his shoulder blades, and I pulled back saying, I don't know what he's wanted for. It took, I believe, 13 or 14 years for the Supreme Court to render a decision in Gardner v. Tennessee that says you cannot simply shoot at a fleeing felon. You can't do it. You just can't execute somebody because they're fleeing.
So, just as an example, the cases of Heller versus District of Columbia and McDonald versus Chicago, those were Second Amendment cases that arose back in 2000, oh my God, I should know this, 2008 and 2010, I believe, were the decisions. But anyway, it's fair to say that the organizations such as the NRA that supported those cases, and the Second Amendment Foundation, I should say, they waited for the right set of circumstances to arise. They waited for a clean plaintiff who was sympathetic to arise to set these cases up for a win at the Supreme Court. And wait until I tell you about this case, because I don't know if this has been an issue for a while, that whether it's a seizure when police shoot at you and you get away. I don't know if it's ever come up before, but this was the perfect case for it to come up, because the police had a warrant for the arrest of a woman for white-collar crimes. But in the warrant, it also alleged that she was involved in drug trafficking and murder and etc. But she wasn't charged with that. She was charged with a white-collar crime. It doesn't go any further to say anything. So they arrive at the apartment complex in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And there are 2 women standing next to a motor vehicle. The one woman walks away, gets in a motor vehicle, and drives away. They approach the other woman, who gets in her car, and the police attempt to open the car door to ask her questions, and she drives away.
Stop. Question. Did it say whether they were in uniform or not in uniform?
She says that she was coming off methamphetamine at the time.
She was on drugs.
And she thought that they were carjacking her. And Justice
Okay.
Roberts does go out of his way to say that they were identified as police officers, and I'm not sure if they had vests on or if they were fully uniformed. But when we get more into this,
that's a very important aspect, in my opinion, is because I've always said this: a plainclothes police officer coming at me with a gun.
Mm-hmm.
What assures me that that's a police officer?
She says, although the officers wore tactical vests marked with police identification, Torres saw only that they had guns. She thought the officers were carjackers trying to steal her car, and she hit the gas to escape them. Okay, so that pretty much answers your question.
Okay.
But
I got to say this.
Okay.
Here comes the sick humor, so to speak. I give firearm classes. I'm an instructor. And I try to convince my students, people that are going to own firearms and use them in self-defense, that 90% of having a firearm to defend yourself is the fact that when you draw it and you point it at somebody, all they see is the big fucking barrel of the tip of the gun facing them. I wear a shoulder holster. And I had a woman come up in back of me, because my holster kind of faces down, but I can grab it and pull it out. And because she could see the muzzle of the firearm, so you're pointing your weapon at me. Okay, stop. What I'm saying is when the woman said she didn't see the vest, all she saw was the guns.
Well,
I truly believe that it is possible for a person confronted by an armed person to see nothing but the gun. I'm looking at your hands. I ain't looking at what kind of fucking sneakers you're wearing.
and it sounds like the officers were not in full uniform either.
It does.
Sometimes people expect
They're in
that.
plain clothes. They're wearing a vest, and it probably says police on the back side, but we don't know whether it said it on the front side.
Now, I just want to set this up also. This case was dismissed on summary judgment. That's the name of our show. And what summary judgment means is that a judge found that no reasonable juror could find in favor of Torres. And so
The woman.
So for a judge to find that, he has to believe everything Torres says. For the sake of a summary judgment motion, you believe what the plaintiff says. And because the measure is, if she goes and tells a jury that, and a jury believes her, then she'll win her case, okay? But, and summary judgment is granted where even if you believe everything that the woman says, that Torres said, she still can't win the case because of whatever. And in this case, the 10th Circuit found that she wouldn't be able to win the case for Fourth Amendment wrongful or unreasonable search and seizure because she was never seized. That's
Okay.
what they found.
Now, you've spent more time in the case than I have, obviously. Did you not say to me that the judge, the what do you call it? The good side, the winning side of the Supreme Court, said that the mere touching is a seizure?
Right, but the court does go on to say, in the majority opinion, that do not take this as a. We stress, however, that the application of the common law rule does not transform every physical contact between a government employee and a member of the public into a Fourth Amendment seizure. Nor will force intentionally applied for some other purpose satisfy this rule. We consider only force used to apprehend. So, for instance, I remember that time at the Board of Firearms hearing where now retired Detective Mattson, she put her hand on you, correct, to try to guide you out of the room, and
pushed me out of the room.
You became irate. So I think the court would probably find that you were not under seizure at that time because the clear intent was to move you from one place to another, not to place you in custody.
I forgot about that, but
I thought about that when I read this case.
If you consider what's been going on with my back, I've got 4 little dot band-aids in my back 8, by the way, 4 on the left side of my spine and 4 on the right side of my spine, where they're trying to make the pain go away, and she was pushing me in my back. But that's neither here nor there. But
And you know, there is when I began by talking about you try to pick the perfect case to go to the Supreme Court. This is the perfect case because what I have not yet mentioned is that this woman was not the woman that the arrest warrant was for. Okay, because some people are probably thinking, well, you know, they say she might have done murder,
has guns,
right? And they admit that. Officer Williamson concluded that neither Torres nor her companion was the target of the warrant. So think about this. These officers knew that this woman was not the target of the warrant.
Did they know it before, or did they find it out afterwards?
Nope. The officers observed Torres standing with another person near a Toyota FJ Cruiser in the parking lot of the complex. Officer Williamson concluded that neither Torres nor her companion was the target of the warrant. In other words, they didn't match the description, right?
Okay.
So doesn't that make it like a million times worse?
Yeah.
I mean, it's bad to begin with.
Fuck it, it's two ladies. One of them's got to be the one.
No, I don't even think they thought that.
I don't think so either.
Because they knew it wasn't. So basically, she is getting ready to drive away because she wants no contact with the police. The police officer tries to open her door and she continues driving, and they fire 13 shots at her. Talk about a winnable case on the issue. If the issue can be won, this is the kind of fact scenario you want to bring to a court because it is outrageous, is it not? So
well, it was outrageous enough for her to win at the Supreme Court.
So if I'm, you know, at a shopping plaza and I go to get in my car and an officer comes over and tries to open my door and I just simply drive away, am I going to be shot 13 times? It's not
All
that. Anyway.
Let me just interject here for a minute.
Okay.
I would like to thank our media director for her diligent work on our website in the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to amnewsnetwork.com, we now have a section. There's some sections to the website. Home, welcome, weekly topics, websites, resources, and research. And if you go to weekly topics, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to do my quote-unquote rip and read the bold print and put it there with a link to the article that I do. Now, I would do more with CNN stories, but they don't have a link to post it to Facebook or a link to email. They don't have one of those.
And I know where that's coming from because you read me a couple topics this morning that we were thinking about talking about on the show, and we may, and just by the way the headline was written, I said, did that come from Fox News?
It did. No, but let me give you an example. If you've watched this show for any length of time, you've seen the logo in back of us would say summary judgment with a phone number. Well, we originally had one that said qualified immunity.
I know.
We never used it.
Because those are two things that irritate us.
Those are the two things that we wanted to use during the show, was because qualified immunity was pissing us off, summary judgment was pissing us off, and
we chose summary judgment.
We did. And the only reason that's up there is I think that we need to talk about more than just summary judgment.
Well, we do. JC's on the line. Do you want to catch his phone call?
We're going to give JC his due, and I'm going to hit the button and see if he answers. Mr. Playford. Mr. Playford. Hold on. Mr. Playford.
Oh, I bet he's there now.
JC, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, here you are. Don't take all day, but go ahead.
Hi, JC.
Please do me a favor. Don't be great if I'm interjecting CNN into our stuff. We already know it's not CNN.
Okay.
I knew that wouldn't be popular when he said that.
What?
that you want to interject CNN
No,
news
stop.
into our show.
No, stop. So you don't think we should interject CNN articles into this show?
Well, not unless we vet them ourselves, because CNN's proven they can't be trusted.
What I'm going to say is this: is that there are articles on CNN that I think are worthy of an editorial opinion from Rachel and I. There are stories that are reported.
Agree with an opinion.
Say again?
I can agree with that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I got to tell you, everybody forgets that in 2007, when I was first interviewed over the gun case, okay, I was quoted as saying, my entire adult life until 2007, was a die-in-the-woods liberal Democrat. And I used to enjoy reading CNN or watch, the articles on CNN. But I always listened to Rush Limbaugh because I wanted to know what the other side was thinking. In order to win the debate, you have to know more about the other person's topics than they do. So,
That's correct.
So I'm sitting there saying, I'm watching CNN, I read CNN. If you go to our resources on the website, the first one is CNN, and it's not because it starts with the letter C. It's CNN, Fox, and then Rachel suggested that I put in the BBC, so we're getting an opinion from outside the country looking in, okay? And some other stuff. I got the Houston Chronicle, I got the San Diego Union Tribune, so that we can get a picture of what's going on and what people are reporting or dealing with in other parts of the country. Now, I want to have a section of our website with the ability for a viewer to send in and post a suggested topic.
Oh yeah, no,
Okay.
that's definitely doable.
During the week, you can send in, and then we have to take how many topics can we talk about in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to screen through them and kind of prioritize them.
Well, speaking of hearing from people what's going on around the country, what's going on where you are, JC? Any news to report?
No, actually, we're kind of quiet. I mean, but there is something that happened here.
Okay.
We had one of our local cameramen arrested because they didn't want to look like a schmuck.
Is this the gentleman from
The audio.
Pinnack? Is this the gentleman from Pinnack, or is this another one?
Photography is not a crime.
Right.
He
used to be with Pinnack, but he's now honor your oath.
Uh-huh.
Is what he is now.
And
He's no longer Pinnack. He's honor your oath.
Yeah.
And they detained him, telling him that. But my big concern here is that police officers clear across the country are losing their jobs and being disciplined for turning off their body cameras.
yeah.
This officer turned off not one, not two, but 3 different cameras from Jeff Gray's. How is that any different than turning off a body camera? And why would they not charge him or discipline him over something of that nature? That's pretty scary because technically citizens don't have guns anymore. They have a camera. The camera's going to say exactly what happened there. But yet these cops are turning these cameras off on the citizens. Lord knows it's happened to me a million times, but they didn't arrest me while doing it.
So
Well, yeah, they did.
what cameras are they turning off? The dash cams, or do you mean the
cameraman?
The cameraman.
They're telling
okay.
the cameraman, you got to shut your camera off.
Got it. Okay.
No, he took the camera and he turned them off.
Like this, JC. Give me your camera. He shuts it off.
Wow, that's a
The
seizure.
cop does.
Yeah.
So
You know?
explain what you meant by they made the arrest because he didn't want to look like a smug. Because Ed often talks about this issue, because I kind of know what you're going to say already. Ed kind of talks about this issue where once the police start going down a path, even though they realize it's the wrong path, they don't know how to stop, think, turn around, mitigate the damages. They just keep going.
They may slow down, but they don't turn around.
So go ahead, talk about it.
And here's another topic, and you guys are talking about qualified immunity.
No, JC, before you get to another topic, tell us what happened with this arrest. Why you said the police officer didn't want to look like a smug.
You're gonna love this.
Okay.
Jeffrey Gray from Honor Your Oath YouTube channel was standing outside the VA clinic. Now, mind you, Jeffrey Gray is a veteran, and he's holding a sign that said, "God bless our homeless veterans." And the VA called the cops. The VA refused to trespass him, though. That's on the video. The VA didn't want him trespassed. But the guy wasn't showing him his ID, so the cop decided, "Well, fuck you, I'm going to arrest you." But while he's got Jeff detained, he starts talking about, well, this guy's going to make me look like an ass on YouTube and Facebook. He's going to make me look like a smug. He's going to make me look like a smug. I'm going to have to arrest him, because if I'm going to look like a smug, it's the only way not to look like a smug is by arresting him.
Well, you and Ed had
this was all caught. This was all caught on tape.
Did you post it?
It's posted. Matter of fact, I gave Ed the link. But here's another thing. Qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is basically saying the cop didn't know the law.
Kind of not.
So how many?
Okay, not exactly.
No?
It says that the law wasn't clearly established. Whatever conduct the officer engaged in, it wasn't clearly established at the time that it violated the Constitution.
Okay, so how come the citizens don't have qualified immunity of some sort? Because they weren't clear on it at the time.
Well, I guess what you're talking about, because citizens, if they're non-government, they can't.
Now, JC, you know the answer to that question.
They can't violate. They can't violate civil rights.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is, if a person is ignorant of the criminal laws and they violate a criminal law, why are they held responsible? That kind of sounds like what you're saying.
Exactly.
Ignorance of the law is no defense. That's what they say in that circumstance.
Exactly. Well, that's the same thing with turning off a person's camera. There's no qualified immunity to turn off a camera, because the cop should know that he can't do it.
Right. In most districts, in most circuits, yes, that is true.
But let's go into another area.
Okay.
We are camera folks. Okay? And all of us that own these little handheld cameras and bigger cameras, they have these little red lights on them. Those red lights were put there because the United States government wanted people to know they were being filmed. Security cameras didn't need them, but the individual citizen needed them.
But there's a button to turn it's called the tally light, and here's why the red light's there, JC. Do you know why it's there? So that when you're talking in a group and there's 5 cameras, the one that has the red light is the one that's on you, and that's the one you talk into. You see the tally lights. The tally light lets the individual know which camera is recording them. In our case, every camera most video cameras have what's known as a tally light. But we can shut it off. We can shut it off, JC.
Not on any of mine, I can't.
On every one of mine, you can. I could turn around.
I'm going to have to figure out. Right?
JC?
Well, you know what? We'll have a tutorial next week.
Yeah, we'll show you how it works next week, JC.
We'll prepare for that.
Hey, JC, let me tell you something.
Now what?
Your cell phone does not have a tally light.
That's correct.
And you're using a cell phone to record.
Right.
I use
Correct.
the Canon XA25, and I'm telling you, Google Canon, C-A-N-O-N, XA25,
Okay.
and go to the manual and just search for tally light.
And when you have your cell phone up, people.
But now watch this.
Okay.
Okay, we'll Google all that. Let's get on to the next one.
Okay.
Okay? Let's talk about the press. Okay? We're not allowed to give out people's names who are victims of sex offense. I don't know what's the difference between being a sex offender and your house blowing up and you standing there naked. We could put you on the news standing there naked because the house blew up. Okay? But we can't talk about you if you were a victim of this particular crime. We can talk about you if you got stabbed, but we can't talk about you if you were groped. Now, they're trying to pass laws to make revenge porn illegal. Well, revenge porn is you are sitting in front of a camera knowing that person's recording you. You know what's going on here. You're participating in it. Just like you do when you go cheese and smile and you hold up your favorite pastime drink or your favorite whatever the hell. Okay? They're trying to make it against the law. Well, to me, that's another attack on my First Amendment. And
I agree.
Else's. But now they're picking and choosing what we can let people see and how we can let them see it.
Yeah, because it seems like the next step is if it's illegal to distribute revenge porn, I guess is what is being called.
Yeah.
Then how about if you just keep it on your phone and look at it every night? It seems like it does the mere possession of it. Is that going to be unlawful?
No.
Here's what JC said, and I tend to agree with him. JC, hold on. This is what
It's
JC.
the posting of it. It's the
I know
posting
that.
of revenge porn. You're not allowed to post it.
I know that.
Here's what
but
JC
what I'm saying is it's an incremental, slippery slope. That was my point.
Yeah. Here's what JC is trying to say.
Well, I know what he's trying to say.
You're in a relationship with a male or a female.
Everybody knows what revenge porn is, Ed.
And there's an agreement between the two people to videotape themselves in compromising naked sexual activity. And then there's a breakup. Somebody has the video, somebody may not have the video. And because I'm pissed off, I post up the video, not giving a shit about me, but you participated, you gave permission, you knew that it wasn't done peeping Tom through your bedroom window. It wasn't under the dress, it was you participated.
But how about if it was done under conditions where it was very much presumed that it was being done not for distribution to the world, but for the pleasure of the people involved? Okay, doesn't that matter?
When Mike Tyson,
Let's listen to JC.
It's always assumed when you're in that private room and you're filming with your favorite girl or your favorite boy that this is between you two. This video is out. Okay, it's always assumed that. Okay? But
Okay.
the revenge, that's where the word revenge comes in, because you post it because you're pissed. And now they want to make that illegal. And now to make it even worse, Congress wants to make no laws on the press. But yet when you try to go down to the police station and you pull a police report, what do they do to that report?
they redact it, of course.
Everything. So how is that not interfering with the freedom of the press?
Unless you live in Sturgis, South Dakota, where apparently they put victims on video and have them give their full name and address. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, but they've taken that down because I think they caught a lot of controversy for that. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that question, JC. That is a tough one. Why is it that if I'm minding my own business and I in no way want to be part of a national discussion or be on the news, and somebody chooses to rape me, why all of a sudden am I subject to being in the news and having my name out there when all I was doing was just minding my business and somebody raped me? You know?
Yeah, but what about this one? I was just minding my business when I got hit by a car. I was just minding my business when I got shot. I was just minding my business when that tree fell on me.
Yeah, I would have to. I would have to say that, right or wrong, our society looks at sexual assault in a much different way than it looks at some of these other incidents that you're talking about. I think that if I was walking down the street, or a car hit me, or a branch fell on me, or my house was robbed or something like that, it would be different reporting it than reporting a sexual assault. In other words, the names and identifying victims of sexual assault makes them not come forward. And I'm not sure that's the case with other things.
Well, I look at sexual assault as far as the news, is that it shouldn't be a law, but each news agency should accept responsibility for what they are reporting.
I don't think it is a law. It's not a law, is it?
What's that?
There's no law that prohibits news agencies from giving out the names of sexual victims, is there?
No, the government can't, but there's nothing that prohibits it.
There's no law, JC. They just choose not to do it.
I've been down some roads in San Diego, and they were telling me it's against the law.
Yeah.
JC,
Yeah.
how the fuck can you possibly quote somebody from San Diego about what you can and can't do?
I mean, that would be...
You, of all people,
that would
should
be a
know
violation.
you don't believe anything that comes out of San Diego's mouth.
Right. That would be a violation. You know? So.
Yeah, no shit. That's where Smella Harris came from, right? San Diego.
Yeah.
So anyway, JC, we're going to let you go. This has been a really good conversation, a lot of different subjects, and I think everybody's had a chance to weigh in on them. But Ed and I are going to talk about something that happened in a courtroom this week, and I was so proud of Ed, the way he reacted to it. I was. So
you should be proud of every day.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
so thanks a lot,
I'm
JC.
getting too old for this shit.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay, how do you want to set this up, Ed? You want me to set it up, or?
You can tell the story.
Well, no, you haven't been talking much this show.
I know. It's
go
okay.
ahead.
It's okay. Well, let me just run through some bold prints.
Got it. Let's do
Okay.
that.
So, I regularly scan from our website, CNN, Fox.
Yes.
I go down the list.
Okay.
New York City ends qualified immunity for police officers.
That's confusing.
Okay? The measure passed as part of a broader overhaul of police practices.
Right.
Okay? So, yeah, I think you need to say to your members of your law enforcement, no more qualified immunity. Know what the fuck you're doing before you do it.
So let me tell you what impact that might have. And I'm not even sure this is going to have any impact, because most civil rights cases end up in federal court, and New York State or New York City can't tell federal courts what to do. And federal courts are going to keep applying qualified immunity, even if it's a
Right.
New York police officer. But what you're saying, Ed, is let's say, I'm trying to find an example.
What I'm saying is, if the city's going to defend its officers civilly,
Right.
they're not going to try to get qualified immunity for their officers.
That's interesting.
That's.
Ah,
I sue the city of
That's-
Hartford. The city of Hartford retains an attorney. The attorney makes a motion for summary judgment. If the city says to their lawyers, no more motions for summary judgment, let's let it go through. Okay?
but in New York City, that's New York City law or state law or whatever. When you're in federal court, federal law applies. So I think an attorney would be committing malpractice not to bring up qualified immunity in federal court if it applied.
Who does the lawyer that's defending the police officers really represent? The officers or the city?
The city.
All right, but the article's out there. The link to it's up on the website.
But yeah, that is
Okay.
that is confusing.
Now, evidently, President Biden's son, Hunter, must have had a domestic with his wife. Had a situation with the wife. The wife took his gun, his handgun, and threw it into a dumpster. And then when she had second thoughts or whatever, she went to look for the gun, and the gun was gone. Okay? And the gun was gone, the gun was found. How did the gun get in the dumpster? They evidently questioned Hunter Biden on the firearm, and he may have lied to the ATF, okay, or to whatever. But that's there, okay? Now, some GOP senators evidently went down to the border where President Biden has been keeping media away from the border, not wanting videotapes of what is down there. And
But how does he do that? How does he keep people away from the border?
He puts up a perimeter. You can put up a yellow tape around the detention centers or whatever. They've got pictures of people coming across the Rio Grande out in the middle of nowhere. But when you try to have the kids in cages, okay?
Right.
No media can get in and take pictures. Well, so they go down there, and it says GOP senators encounter traffickers, cartel members at the border during a nighttime Rio Grande tour. And I'll just read it. Senator Ted Cruz, our Republican in Texas, has detailed how a Republican Senate delegation to the border, led by him, encountered human traffickers and cartel members yelling at them and taunting law enforcement as they saw the crisis at the border up close.
Yep.
It's out there.
These are people that deal in an atmosphere of they take advantage of weakness. They take advantage of signs of weakness. And we are sending signals from the United States that we are going to be weak when it comes to preventing human trafficking, drugs, and the like from coming over the border. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Okay. The next one is Ducey confronts Psaki over Fox News getting snubbed at presser, I guess that's what they call press conferences, asked if it's official administrative policy. Fox News White House correspondent Peter Ducey confronted Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Friday about why he was snubbed during President Biden's first press conference, noting that Fox has never been on the list of Biden's pre-approved reporters. Okay, now this one has me concerned. Kudlow, Biden infrastructure bill includes the largest expansion of the social welfare state since LBJ. What does infrastructure have to do with social welfare? In other words, I said this going all the way back to Newtown. When politicians have something to put their surfboards on, they tend to say, now's the time to load up legislation. The country will give us whatever we want. So we got the $1.9 trillion stimulus package. Now they say there's going to be another package,
right,
to fix the bridges, fix this, do that, do this, do that. And it's going to be much larger than the 1.9 trillion. But what's happening is we witnessed Mayor Bronin from the capital city of Hartford, Connecticut, traveling around to the suburban communities around Hartford, begging for money from the communities to help him cover his debts. Well, the stimulus package is giving hundreds of millions of dollars to those distressed cities that didn't manage their money. And now, you know, if you're going to have infrastructure bill includes the largest expansion of social welfare state, fine. Every fucking dime should go to fixing bridges. Training people to do the jobs to fix the bridges. We need painters, we need masons, we need welders, we need, you know, it's like the work program of the 1930s, 1940s, you know, Roosevelt, the good deal, whatever the hell it was. I understand that. Don't get me wrong. But, you know something? I'm willing to bet you that the George Washington Bridge that crosses the Hudson River is not going to get replaced. Even though it's well beyond its life cycle. You know, think about that. We have bridges in this country that are dangerous to go across. But are they going to go down the list and say, we're going to do every single one of them and we're going to hire the people to do them? Or is this program going to go on for the next 30 years, okay, doing a couple every year? Because during the last Connecticut election for governor, leading up to the election, I heard a very prominent owner of a large construction company in Connecticut make a comment at a gathering. Yeah, Lamont better come through with all the contracts he's promising us, okay? And if you look around the state of Connecticut, that company's trucks are all over the place. But what about the little guys? You know, the subcontractors that need to be able to get a piece of the pie. But this concerns me if social welfare should not be part of an infrastructure bill. You want to have a bill for social welfare? Pass a bill for social welfare and see if it passes. But you can't sweep it underneath, you know, like I'm a woman, I got one of them big hoop dresses from the 1800s, and there's 5 little kids running around underneath the hoop dress, you know, as I cross the border. You see what I'm saying? In other words, we need legislation that is direct and to the point and is going to be managed and watched to make sure that this shit doesn't happen where we're bailing out failing cities. Because I guarantee it's 2021. I'm 72 years old. It may not be in my lifetime, but I guarantee you the city of Hartford, with all of the money they're going to get from stimulus, is going to be broke again in the near future. Because they're going to take that money and they're going to put it where it doesn't give them a return.
Right.
They're going to give people money without saying, we give you, you got to give us. Sweep the streets, pick up fucking litter, paint buildings, paint over graffiti, do whatever. Have them line up and have a paycheck for them, but they got to put in a day's work for a day's pay. Now, am I crazy saying that? No, I don't think so. But there's a lot of people that are going to say I'm crazy for saying that.
So what could Hartford invest the money in? Attracting businesses? What kind of businesses would attract to Hartford?
Okay.
I'm just trying to think
Maybe
of a
10,
solution.
Yeah, I get confused whether it was 10 years ago, it could have been 20 years ago. There were not enough individuals who were trained in operating computer machinery in the shop, you know, making airplane parts or making parts for NASA or making parts for the submarine. There were not enough trained people to do it. So they started, those companies got together and started to create training groups so that they could train people to be ready to take jobs when they opened up. And they knew how to do fractions, for example. You know, I was amazed at my uncle when he gave me a test one time. He was an executive for Pratt & Whitney and an executive for Terry Steam Turbine. And he gave me a test. And he said, you know, you understand fractions, the math of fractions. He said, most people that come in for an interview for a job don't know anything about how fractions work. Because they deal with fractions when you're doing 1/1000th of an inch, you know. So I don't know, but I read that, and that's the first thing that went through my head. How did social welfare get into that bold print? And I didn't even read the article. I could be totally wrong. But the article tells me that this infrastructure bill is going to be for social welfare. Does that mean we're going to pay people to work? I hope they do. Are they going to earn it? Or what's going to happen? I don't know.
And if you do go to Hartford near the Institute of Living and Hartford Hospital, if you go down the road a little bit, there's a beautiful school there.
Yeah.
And there are some beautiful educational facilities that have been built in
Those
Hartford.
are those magnet schools.
Okay.
The learning corridor, they call it.
Has any study been done to see the effectiveness of this investment of money? And what are kids doing when they graduate from there? Because that's a good way to invest, but I don't know if that works. If the community isn't supporting the school, no matter how beautiful or up to date the building is, it's not going to work. A beautiful building by itself does not solve the problem.
I'm willing to bet that within 1,500 feet of where we're sitting, there's an absolutely beautiful school. And all of the cars are lined up either to drop the students off or to pick them up. And I sit back and I go, what a beautiful school. And when the buses pull in to drop the kids off, 5 kids on the bus, but there's 20 parents dropping the kids off rather than having to ride the bus. And I'm sitting there, can't comprehend some of the shit that's going on because of distant learning now. And
well, that's a whole nother conversation to have. Is the time for cities done? Why do we need cities? Why did we begin to have cities, and why do we need them? I mean, I think cities started to centralize the workforce, have people do their different labor and maximize, production of that. And I don't know if that really applies anymore. We don't have factories. We don't have.
There were houses that were built in Hartford County, in Connecticut, during World War II, because people were coming from Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky. They were driving up to where the war machine was located. They were at the sub base making submarines. They were at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. They were up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire making ships. They were in Hartford making Pratt & Whitney engines for bombers. These people migrated up into New England, and they had these little small houses. And when the war ended, those houses normally were purchased by veterans. There was groups where veterans housing was made. But there's something wrong with that phrase in that article about social welfare state.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't sound good, that's for sure.
It does not. Now, I need to ask, just think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Is everybody in the country have a dry mouth at night? I mean, is there something? I'm thirsty at night. My mouth feels like shoe leather at night. And it's driving me nuts. And even during the show, it's like, is there not moisture or something? I can't wait for summer.
So maybe people could use that comment section you were talking about on our renovated website to give you hints about that.
You said something to me the other day.
Of course, all they're going to do is Google it.
You said something to me the other day that I didn't even realize. 2017, they took a foot of my colon out because they found colon cancer. Caught it in time, great. 2018, okay, I had to have my right shoulder replaced. 2019, I had to have my heart replaced. 2020, they had to do my left knee had to get replaced. God.
So this is going to be a good summer.
I have not had a summer to enjoy in probably 4 years.
By the way, speaking of the colon surgery that you have, I remember feeling so lucky when they caught that in time. And that is the one kind of cancer where doing tests in advance can really
Oh,
bring the incidence of having worse cancer down.
When
It
Dr.
really everybody should get a colonoscopy.
When Dr. Goliardi got done doing my colonoscopy, he said that he found the polyp. And he took it out and he sent it out for a biopsy. And I said, look, you've been doing this for years. Is it or isn't it? He goes, yeah, it is.
I was actually there.
He goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, it is.
You could tell by his face when he walked in.
Yeah,
in my
he said,
opinion,
yeah, it is.
It wasn't good.
But he also said to me that they checked all around. They go out. Did it go through the wall? Did it go out to the lymph nodes? Did it go to the liver, metastasize or something like that? He said, you caught it so early that we took the foot of your colon and put you back together, and you don't have to have radiation. You don't have to have, what's the other, chemotherapy. You're done, okay? So, who do we got on the line? Joe.
Joe Cole.
Joe?
Nope.
Joe?
That does not sound like Joe.
No, Joe's in the background. Joe's in the background.
Yeah, grandbabies.
What are you doing? Teaching your grandbaby how to call into internet shows?
I don't know, Ed. I don't know.
Well, of course I am. I wasn't just teaching mine.
So what's going on?
Well, I was kind of going with the bills that you guys were talking about, how they like to split things in and do all that.
Right. Slipping things into bills. Correct.
Well, my opinion on that is there are certain bills that can be hard to pass. So they want to put it in a bill that's easy to pass, and the ones underneath it is going to pass with it.
Absolutely.
Hold on, Joe. Just wait 1 second. Everybody be quiet. What's your granddaughter's name?
I have a grandson, and he's blind.
What's his
And
name?
his name is Wade.
Wade? Okay, is he watching
Yep.
the computer screen?
Well, he's blind, but he hears it.
Oh,
Okay.
he's blind. So say hi to him.
Wade! Rachel and Ed want to say hi, Wade. How are you?
You want to say hi?
Aw.
Hi, Wade.
Aw.
Are you being good? Wade, are you being good?
You're scaring him. You're scaring Wade, Ed.
Hold on.
He's laughing about it. He's going to play the fifth on it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, I heard, I don't know, they were trying to pass one of these bills, I think, when President Trump was still in office, and AOC was complaining that it was a 5,000-page bill, and how on earth could anybody read it? But I bet she has no problem with the 5,000-page bills now, because when it's in your favor, you don't mind.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing is, who in their right mind is going to read all them bills? So we the people is playing ignorance because of the high velocity of all the paperwork.
I think your grandson's going to do an internet show.
Yeah.
You need to get him a tripod, a cell phone, and a tripod, and a link to the internet.
Yeah, he's wanting to pick on Papa because now Papa's on the phone.
Exactly, I remember that.
Oh, it's the minute you get on the phone is when they start tearing the house.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
That
no.
is true.
And the minute you hang up, they sit there and they go, oh, hi.
Then they don't pay any
I'm good,
attention
yeah.
to you.
Listen, we're running out of time.
Oh, thank you so much for calling, Joe. And by the way,
Joe, call in.
Just right quick, I wanted to let you guys know that this past couple of days I've been in Austin about a constitutional carry.
okay.
That they got 5 bills up. And so I was up there to kind of help support the passing of the bills, even though we shouldn't be having to ask permission. But it's leaning towards a little bit more freedom.
So what is the status right now? What are they trying to change it from, Joe?
Just a quick version. So like your pistol, we have to have permits.
Okay.
what they're trying to do is where you can carry without the permit.
Right.
Constitutional carry.
Different bills have different saying in it, but in general, it's kind of cutting down the permit and be able to carry a little bit more freely.
Absolutely.
I need to end the show with a statement. My heart goes out to the 10 people who were slain in Atlanta. Be they Asian, black, whatever, my heart goes out to them. But one thing the news media never does is go like this. 10 unarmed citizens or 10 unarmed human beings were slain by an armed human being. They never emphasize the fact that nobody was able to defend themselves when the gunman walked in the door.
Right.
So,
Well, like I tell everybody else, they're in their right mind with one person go in to a room with 100 guns.
right,
Exactly.
right. You know,
And every single mass shooting that's happened, on the news lately, that they keep on trying to use against guns, is they always found the weakest spot and went to it.
right.
I remember that video from the church in Texas, and I don't recall the town where the gentleman in the congregation stood up, and the man who was coming in, and I think he hit him on the first round. Yeah, that was amazing video. And
Well, and that gentleman was actually there testifying because one of the bills that we are against is making permits issued for long rifles now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we don't have to have permits.
Oh my God. We don't even have to have permits in Connecticut
Yes,
for long
we do.
guns. No, to
We
buy.
have to buy it, not to possess it,
Not
not to carry it, but to buy it.
to buy. Yes.
Or to, yes.
To buy, but not to carry.
So they want to know
Yeah.
who's got it.
Wow, that's something for
Listen,
Texas.
we got to go.
Bye, Joe. Bye,
Stop
Wade.
back next week. Bring Wade with you.
Okay, bye, guys.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, so.
That
Another-
wraps up the show.
It does. And now,
So I'm just going to give a quick version, and we're going to talk about it more next week. We were in court this week, and of course, COVID procedures are in place. Judge, is in a different room, and prosecutors in a different room, but defendants and their attorneys are sitting in the courtroom or whatever. And there was a woman that walked in, and the marshal approached her and asked her if she was drunk. She seemed to be unstable, off balance. I didn't smell any alcohol, though, and let me tell you, you can usually smell alcohol when somebody's been drinking that much. And she was kind of falling asleep in the in the seat she was in. And you witnessed, I did not witness, the marshal come over and bang the table.
the it's like a pew in a church, the wooden bench. He banged to the point where it startled me.
So then when we were leaving, and I was proud, Ed made a big deal of it. I won't go into detail now because we're running out of time, and I was so proud of him for doing that. I was so proud of him for doing that. But then when we left, the woman was out on a bench, slumped over.
In the hallway.
She could have been dying. And I was thinking about that this morning. I thought, so everyone in the courtroom is taking all these precautions against COVID. Oh, we're so concerned about everybody's health. Sit apart in the courtroom, 6 feet apart. So concerned about everybody's health when it comes to COVID. But here you have a woman laying prostrate on a bench in the hallway.
And you can tell
of a beautiful courthouse.
that she's unconscious.
And people are just walking by, and I'm thinking, we're concerned about COVID in there such that we can't even have a judge in the same room with us anymore. And meanwhile, this woman's laying on a bench. And I don't care what the excuse is. Oh, we've seen her here before. She's just a drunk, or she gets arrested all the time, or we know the family. I don't care about any of that. She was a human being.
Next week,
ironic.
First topic. Next week, what's going on in our courts?
Everybody have a good week.
Okay.